Well, I've come to speak with Tynwald MLC about the car parking legislation that was in front of Tynwald this week. We've heard obviously from the Chief Minister, heard from an MHK, and I thought to catch up with you as an MLC, because I mean at the end of the day that's where the legislation fell, particularly because you voted it down as the MLCs as a group. I mean overall, was it bad legislation, or are you just not wanting to pay for car parking?
Well, there's no question about the fact that Tynwald, as a senior leadership team, to use a business expression, has to behave like a senior leadership team. And in my view, we've got to pay. Times of austerity, it doesn't feel unreasonable, the proposals coming forward, and I think everybody who voted against the motion supports the principle of paying.
But you voted against legislation?
Well, we voted against the motion as a whole, and it's been a bit of a hodgepodge in a way in terms of, I suppose, of reporting and coverage, because Minister Gorn was quoted from the middle of the debate, and the debate moved on to where I think there was an acceptance by the Minister for Infrastructure that members weren't against paying. It was the other part of the motion, which concerns, people hate me calling them colleagues in government, I guess civil servants, but I'm just putting I like the word colleague rather than staff and whatever, old fashioned. And I don't believe that at this point in time the proposal gave enough detail to cover the implementation of a policy on those individuals. And I'm not trying to be critical of HR. I think they've had a very short timescale to try and put a proposal together. Tynwald members are easy. So you start on the 1st of April, phase it in, and we have to pay. Done deal. Not an issue. But as I concluded in my own remarks in the debate, my own view to the Minister was that he should withdraw the motion and resubmit it in November as two or one. A separate one covering Tynwald members, which I think would be unanimously voted through, no problems whatsoever, and there's still plenty of time to implement it. And then secondly, the one for colleagues, staff, once it's firmed up, because my own belief is that it lacks detail.
But as you say, I mean, you've been sort of in the press, being picked out there, the MLCs, this and that, you've been vilified. What's your reaction to that sort of headline?
Well, I think originally when I saw a copy of the newspaper in question, it was one of disbelief, and then when I think it through, you made a very valid point in an interview. You actually have to have headlines to sell newspapers, and in fairness, when you read the entirety of the article, I would say certainly on page 7 it's very balanced and very factual. Yeah, we are where we are in terms of a headline. I wish they could have used my LinkedIn photograph. I don't have a double chin on it.
I mean, the radio, I think, the story was much more punchy on the first day, but they did the next day sort of give more of your cuts, your interview, well, your debates, and it more balanced. But the public seemed to have really taken to this story, and clearly not in a good way. Are you worried about that sort of thing, that it appears that the MLCs are out of touch? That's how it's come across.
It's unfortunate if that's the case, and certainly I was very surprised when I was listening to Mandate the next day, and it brought in sort of the Legislative Council issues again, because in reality, Legislative Council is a revising body, and if that had been legislation proper, a green paper coming through, we would have probably revised it and sent it back to the Keys for further discussion and debate. And it's difficult to speak for other people, but I think I am. In terms of the other 5 of my colleagues who voted against the motion, we were simply saying, look, this needs more work, and let's not vote for something that's still work in progress. Let's see the final proposition and then we can debate it properly.
And yet, as it stands, it's going for a combined vote the next Tynwald session. Is that, if that still happens, will you vote the same way again?
Well, to be perfectly truthful, I've put an amendment in.
I'm sure you won't be the only one, actually, but what's your amendment?
My amendment is simply to split it into two parts. One for Tynwald members, come through straight away, and then to take the colleague, the HR element away, and allow HR, unions, I guess staff representatives to have more time to firm it up, because time is on our side. We're talking about the 1st of April, so it's not immediate, and then a fully fleshed out proposal can be brought back to the Honourable Court.
And you think that's probably likely to be carried, I guess, by the way the reaction's been. I mean, as I said, if that particular motion is put forward as a combined vote, how would you vote if you didn't get your amendment, for instance? Would you keep to the stance you've had?
On principle, I'd vote against it, but I'll make it quite clear I'm very happy to pay. Mm-hmm. I'm just arguing over voting for a motion where part of it is true and proper, and part of it's work in progress. It's just a point of principle. I mean, you could argue the minister's quite right, vote it through, and then we've got 5 months to sort it out. My own way of working, my own particular style, is I prefer to vote for something after a debate on the kind of the final document.